The Deputy President, Rigathi Gachagua, is a man who has been grabbing headlines in the Kenyan media. If it is not about the controversy between himself and CS Moses Kuria, it is about a near fallout between himself and the President of Kenya. But this time round, the Deputy President is actually trending and grabbing headlines because of the budgetary allocation that his office has been given, apparently, to facelift his official residence and his offices. Now, when this came up, it caused an uproar because Kenyans felt that this is just too much. Apparently, this is what we have been given, and in fact, Rigathi Gachagua was defending because when the figures came up, Kenyans started criticizing the deputy president, but he has defended this. The office is supposed to get 1.2 billion Kenya shillings, and a quick look at it is that Rigathi Gachagua is seeking 460 million shillings to renovate his Harambee Annex offices. There's another 600 million shillings to refurbish his official Karen home. We are also told that he is seeking about 250 million shillings for the fight against alcohol and substance abuse. He is also seeking 100 million Kenya shillings to purchase new vehicles. And when he was asked why this is happening, the official representative from the Deputy President's office had this to say, and I just want to quote him, that for the last 10 years, the office of the Deputy President has heavily relied on old and refurbished vehicles which are costly to maintain, compromising service delivery. That is what they are saying to defend the 100 million Kenya shillings to buy new vehicles. He's also defending this by saying that the Harambee House Annex office and Mombasa residents have been neglected over 15 years, affecting critical areas of habitability, safety, and security. So he's saying that the money that he's seeking for is justified because the residents' houses have been neglected for 15 years, according to him. And the Deputy President's office have been given some what he is calling in other senses unroadworthy vehicles. Now, when this came up, ladies and gentlemen, Kenyans started roaring, and one person who has been defending William Samoei Ruto decided to smartly attack Rigathi Gachagua. Lawyer Ahmednasir picked on one of the headlines. As I told you, Rigathi Gachagua is grabbing headlines, and this headline reads, "Budget. No money for school feeding, but Gachagua's office gets 2.6 billion for renovation and cars." I want you to look at that. That when you look at the total budget allocation, he's seeking to get 2.4 billion Kenya shillings for renovation and for buying cars. And this is what Ahmednasir is saying. That I love this page 1 of the Daily Nation, because it contrasts tens of thousands of hungry primary school children going without lunch with DP Gachagua in that convoy of Mercedes-Benz's S-Class 500 and Land Cruisers, speeding to his official residence, renovated at 2 billion. Why do politicians with peasant backgrounds quickly forget their story and history? You look at that tweet, and Ahmednasir is simply, that is a mockery or an insult if you ask me. He's telling Rigathi Gachagua, why do politicians with peasant backgrounds, look at that, quickly forget their story and history? He's telling Gachagua, you have forgotten where you came from. Rigathi Gachagua was a DO in Moi era. He became a member of parliament for just one term. By God's grace or by hook or crook, I don't know, he found himself as a deputy president. And Ahmednasir is saying that you juxtapose what is happening, that we have millions of primary school pupils going without food. Yet Rigathi Gachagua will be in a convoy of Mercedes-Benz's S-Class 500 and Land Cruisers rushing to supervise the renovation of his offices at 2 billion Kenya shillings. Ladies and gentlemen, what do you think is happening? Kindly subscribe to our channel if you're watching for the first time. Click the notification bell to allow YouTube to notify you. I really don't take your support for granted. From the bottom of my heart, I want to thank you for your continued support. Ladies and gentlemen, this is exactly what I want us to look at, because come to think of it, Rigathi Gachagua is saying that his office has been neglected. And is telling us that for the past 10 years, he's been using vehicles that are not up to standard, up to date, that are very difficult to maintain. And the first question that comes to mind is, Rigathi Gachagua is the number 2 in the country. When we say he's number 2, the only other person that is above him is President William Samoei Ruto. So, as a common man, when Rigathi Gachagua comes to me and tells me as a taxpayer that for 10 years his office has been neglected, the vehicles that he's using are not up to date, yet I always see those vehicles. They are guzzlers. And then he tells me that they have been neglected. Then who is he referring to? Who has neglected that office? He's number 2. The only person above him is Ruto. So is he in a sense telling us that William Ruto has neglected his office? Is he accusing William Ruto? Because then if it's not William Ruto, who has neglected the offices and who has given him the vehicles that is now crying foul? In other words, it's only but accusing William Samoei Ruto. But then we are dealing with a government that told us that we should live within our means. A government that told us that they inherited a dilapidated economy. There was nothing in the coffers. I will tell you that this is happening at a time when Kenyans are asking very many questions. One, there is no money for school feeding like it is mentioned. There is no money for capitation fee to the schools. Our schools have really suffered. There is no money for disaster management. We don't know where it went. That is why when floods was ravaging our country, they were now appealing for money. There is no money for doctors. They went for strike for over 58 days. There was no money. And then here is Rigathi Gachagua giving us a proposed budget of 2 billion to renovate his offices. The first thing that we need to understand is that renovating and facelifting of the offices and the residential places is not a bad idea. If anything, those offices were built by taxpayers' money and they should be maintained. We should not neglect them. But then you've seen the vehicles that the deputy president operates in. You've seen the Harambee Annex. It's not all that bad. What we're saying is, what is the priority now when there are schools that were destroyed by floods? When our pupils need to get food, then what is the priority? Is it to renovate the deputy president's offices and the residential places, or is it money to our poor children who cannot afford even $1 million a day? You know the answer. And this is why Kenyans feel that maybe Rigathi Gachagua does not feel the pain. He's not sensitive to the suffering, the pain, and the predicament of Kenyans. That is why, with all the privileges that he has been given, this is not the time to start telling us of renovation. This can wait. And like I said, all these offices and residential places were constructed using taxpayers' money, and we should maintain them. But in order of priority, on merit, they can wait so that we sort out our schools, we build them, we reconstruct them, we give food to our children. Even in basic business studies, the hierarchy of human needs, food will always come first, then maybe clothing and shelter. Cars and vehicles are luxury, even though these days cars and vehicles have become basic because there are people who, by the nature of their job, they cannot operate without a car. But if you are to give someone food, clothing, housing, then all these vehicles come first. And it is not like our deputy president does not have any vehicle or cars. We have a fleet of vehicles. Now, and what is happening here is very simple. There is a kind of competition. Rigathi Gachagua watched the budget allocation that State House requested for. State House actually requested for the initial one was 1.6 billion Kenya shillings, and in total, after they have a budget of renovating all the state lodges and State House, and the budget is so big. So Rigathi Gachagua looked at the kind of budgetary allocation that State House was given, and he knew that this is our time to eat. If William Ruto is going to be given billions of shillings to renovate State House and state lodges, he was not going to remain behind. He's fighting for his space. And that is why he has also come up with a budget so that ule akikula pale, because these are all conduits of corruption. I said we must maintain our offices, but with the kind of exorbitant budget that we are being given, these are only but conduits of corruption. These are meant to take money, just to waste taxpayers' money, and it will be getting into individuals' pockets. So Rigathi Gachagua knows very well that William Ruto anapata yake na mimi sibaki nyuma. Rigathi Gachagua has literally fought for his space in the UDA. When they tried to propose that they were going to have three deputy party leaders, Rigathi said no. And when they met at the National Executive Committee, Rigathi Gachagua fought for his space, and they said we'll only have one party leader, one deputy party leader, and two assistant deputy party leaders. And he has realized that this time round, he's going to deal with Ruto the way Ruto dealt with Uhuru Kenyatta. It is like Uhuru curse. The difference is that Uhuru and Ruto began their open cracks at their second term, in their second term. But for Rigathi and Ruto, you will realize that it has started early enough. And so Rigathi is not going to wait for William Ruto to get much budgetary allocation, then he's waiting. Ule akipewa, hata yeye anapewa. So ladies and gentlemen, those who are supporting Rigathi Gachagua are saying that if we have to criticize Rigathi Gachagua, then we need to criticize the allocation for facelifting State House. Because in all the circumstances, both of them should wait so that we give priority to what is due. Once we do the school feeding program, once we have the capitation fee, Rigathi Gachagua has got vehicles, Ruto has vehicles, the State House and state lodges can still be habitable. If anything, they are not using those state lodges every day. So if you ask me, they should wait. And this government told hustlers that they were going to be sensitive to their needs. They were going to form a government that would be friendly to the hustlers. Apart from all this that is happening, there's a lot of wastage within the government, a lot of corruption, and as if they're not even watching what is happening, they have decided to levy taxes on most of these goods. The latest is even laughable, that they want to tax bread, a basic commodity to most families in town. Families who just want to rush to school, to work. This is the most readily available product in our shops. Now they want to tax it. Sooner it will be milk and bread and unga and everything. I don't know what is happening. But for Rigathi Gachagua, Ahmednasir is saying that this should not be happening. The only problem about Ahmednasir is that he is not talking about budgetary allocation in State House, the budgetary allocation that was requested for prayer warriors. He will be defending William Ruto to the core, but he does not want to criticize when William Ruto is involved. Do you support Rigathi Gachagua? Because if you ask me, both Rigathi Gachagua and William Ruto must wait with the facelifting and renovation of all these facilities so that we give Kenyans priority. We reconstruct schools that were destroyed during floods. We give food and shelter to those who are displaced. We reconstruct those schools and we feed them before we look at the luxury that is they want to enjoy. I don't know what to think, but that is my take.